pain. There will be pain.
Yeah, like that P.T. Anderson movie, There Will Be Pain.
That's right. It was a great movie.
I drink your pain, he said in that movie. I drink it up.
Well, no, it should be I drink your blood coffee? Question mark. End of the episode. What?
And spoilers. Hey, welcome everybody to yet another edition of Duncan and Bo Come Correct. This time, as it has been for some time, Duncan and Bo slash fiction. The never-ending parade of misery that is our journey through the series slasher, courtesy of creator Aaron Martin. I mean, at what point does it win? You know, at what point are we just so broken?
I mean, at this point, I'm feeling like they've missed a trick in playing this to people detained at Guantanamo Bay. Like, you get an episode out of this, you're squealing about the location of your rebel base. You know what I mean? like, no more. Make the bad man stop. So, yeah, this is just... It's just a hellhole, honestly.
It's a hellhole. It really it's real bad. It's a bad episode of a bad series, if you're asking my professional opinion. as well you should.
I always...
So, obviously, in addition to the fact that we talk about slasher, we'll get into that in a minute. First, we reach what we call the banter section of the show.
Yeah. Organized fun is what I like, Bo.
Yeah. There is nothing better about spontaneous fun than planning it ahead of time. And
Agreed. Yes.
So, all right. So this time around, Duncan, we're talking about what we've been watching, good and bad. Also, before we get into that, let me just ask, how's the Salem Rain? How's all that going? Are you keeping her?
It's going. Yeah, but yeah, I think I'll tell you, I tore up the receipt, Bo, so there's no hand on her back.
Oof. Yeah, that's dedication.
Yep, that was a risky move. No, everything's great. Still sleeping really, really, really well. Very content. Small baby, and that's me officially now back at work, even though I'm working from home. So, it's a surreal experience of kind of the COVID era, that when Winter was born, I went to work and I wouldn't see her all day, and then getting at night, by the time you've had your dinner and then you sit down, you got a couple of hours and then they're off to bed. And now I'm like, I'm going to stand up and stretch my legs away from my desk for 5 minutes. I go through, chill out with the baby, go back to work. Another break, chill out with the baby. So it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah, I hear. The only baby I've ever had any contact with, Duncan, are those that I've sacrificed.
So you didn't even bother learning their names?
Well, it's
more... but a number to me.
Look, a lot of the people in the group didn't want to learn a name, but I always did. I thought it made it more fun,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But no, I'm about to have a new nephew, literally any day now. So,
exciting times.
Yeah. I was really pushing for the baby to come today, Duncan. I don't know if we've ever talked about this. I've got a little quirk in my memory where I need something. If I'm gonna remember a date, like a birthday, I need two things to happen on the same day. Like, for example, my brother and my best friend's kid have the same birthday. And so I can remember, June 21st, first day of summer, also Jonas's birthday, also my brother's birthday. So got it all, right? On the other hand, my first nephew's birthday, sometime in January, I know it's early, could be the 8th, be the 9th, could be the 10th, don't know. And I have to tell her all the time, hey, sorry about this, my brain just don't work in the way that it oughta. So remind me of the birthday, and I'm going to feel stupid when you tell me, because I feel like I ought to know it, but I don't. But
when I step on your foot, nod at you.
It's kind of like that. So, as we record this, Duncan, today is my birthday.
I
And
did not know this.
it
Happy
is.
birthday, buddy.
Thank you very much. And so I'm hoping that the baby's born today, because then I would remember, oh, hey, we have the same birthday.
That's the only reason that I remember this, is because you share a birthday with me.
Or just
There you
something,
go.
or be born on Halloween. That would do it too. Just something other than a random day.
You decided to spend your birthday with this guy, which is never a good. This is like the worst present ever. Talking about one of the worst things we've ever watched.
Yeah, that's right. All of that is true.
All that happened.
Yeah, I kind of had a birthday dinner last week where the official celebration sort of happened, and
Got you.
And I got, God bless her, my girlfriend got me a Sasquatch bank. This thing is die cast, man. This thing is heavy as shit. You got to like unscrew it to get change out of it. It's something else. And shoot.
See, are you telling me you've been squashing your cash?
That's right.
Oh, sorry, squatching
the cash. Hashtag squatching the cash. So,
oh dear.
Yeah. And also got me this amazing cake had made for me that was like it was a coconut cake, but it had blood splatters all over it, and the inside had been dyed red. Yeah, she's a keeper, all right. So so for birthday proper today, I'm doing this in the morning. Obviously, the thing that we're doing right now, and then
this is happening. I'm not a figment of your imagination.
I mean, who's to say, Duncan? Really, I've been watching a lot of found footage movies recently. I don't know what's real and what's not anymore. Is this all found? And then I'm going to her place to finish up some Halloween decorating, and then coming back to do another stream later. So.
Nice.
Yeah, hey, if it ain't happening as a podcast, my birthday ain't happening. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
That's a life I live. Anyway, so let's get into this, Duncan, I suppose. And I suppose. And let's and talk about what we've been watching, good and bad. And I'm gonna go first this week. I'm gonna take executive privilege and talk about a good thing.
Look at me, it's my birthday, so I'm gonna go first.
So I'm like, that is the gif that ought to come out of everything we've ever done. It's just us doing our little dance. So also thank you, Robert, in the chat, for saying happy birthday. That's nice. I watched the other day, which I hadn't seen in forever, Duncan. I sat back and watched Horror Express.
Oh, nice.
Which is just a pure good.
It's bonkers.
Yes. Or is A, it's fucking crazy. And B, I think it was Derek who told me, DeBorgi, who told me that that was a movie that Peter Cushing was not supposed to be in.
That wouldn't surprise me, actually.
And so, all right. So what happened is, according to the story, is that it was right after Peter Cushing's wife died, and Christopher Lee was going off to make this movie, and he basically talked to the producers and was like, "Hey, I want to bring my buddy with me because he's kind of going through some shit right now." And he can be in your movie. Like, you can have Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing in your movie, and we're going to hang out on set and make sure that he's cool. And what a testament to the friendship that those two had.
Oh, yeah. But it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's like, you hear the stories. Genuine is one of those heartwarming stories of two guys in the same industry that just genuinely loved working together.
Yeah,
and not only on set, like they spent a lot of time off set together and whatnot, but just generally and what I get for your movie. I mean, you've already got the Christopher Lee; he's in your movie, so you're kind of happy. And then all of a sudden, the cushion's there as well.
Yeah, nobody expects the cushion.
You've got some cushion for the pushing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how he pitched it, I'm sure. Would you like a little cushion for the pushing?
Oh, and then out of nowhere, Telly Savalas arrives. You're like, what the fuck is going on in this movie?
Right, just to be like, hey, guess who's the big swinging dick in this movie? Surprise, it's Telly Savalas.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm in this movie, but it's all good.
Yeah, I like all the bonkers science that they're trying to use in the movie
Oh
of
God.
like, here's a thing that is like the eyeball captures the what you saw, and holy shit, this thing must be from space, and
There's a whole thing like, because earlier on in the year, me and Dave Parker worked through the Forgotten Jolly box sets that Vinegar Syndrome put out, and there's about 3 of those movies that all have just silly science to do with eyes, like just like nonsense science. So it's not even that it captures the last image. It's like, this blind man here, using the power of this synthesizer, can tap into the eyes of the killer. You're like, yeah, science. What the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, using Argento waves.
Argento waves is what they're called.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're called, because they ripple out in shades of purple, blue, pink, red.
Yeah, constantly. It has no choice but to kill his wife as they pass through her. That's kind of a little bit of a deep Jello cut, I feel. At any rate.
Yes. If you laugh, then you're going to hell.
That's right. And you've wasted a lot of your life.
Yes.
But yeah, so not only did I enjoy the backstory of the Horror Express, the other thing I really dug about it is I like this kind of crazy, hey, we've got this prehistoric vampire, but it can switch bodies, and a lot of people have compared it to The Thing, and there's a little bit of that in there of, hey, we don't know who this monster is, we just know that he's probably got a grimy hand and the Mesmero eyes or whatever.
That's my impression of the Mesmerize, Bo. Doesn't translate well in audio format.
Yeah, but on video, striking. Stop it, Duncan. You're going to make me flip out.
Give all your money to DBCC. All your money.
It was much better than Cats. I will see it again and again. Okay, so Robert in the chat is saying, wasn't the story that Lee had to prevent Cushing from throwing himself down some stairs out of his distraught over losing his wife? Which is that, I
mean, yeah, it's horses for horses. I think there's the versions of that. But yeah, essentially, Christopher Lee stepped up for his buddy, got him on set, and what you have is cinematic gold as an outcome. So
yeah, it's fantastic. All right, so give me a good thing that you saw, and then we'll dump on some stuff.
Well, so I'm doing my 31 of October at the moment, so I'm doing just movies from this year. And I've seen some good, I've seen some bad, Bo. I want to save the one that is in the really good camp for a conversation with me, you, and the woman they call Jamie J.
Oh, are you talking about a little Midnight Mass?
I'm talking about Malignant, actually.
Oh, right.
I really like that movie. So
I like it more than most. Yeah.
It shocked ever loving fuck out of me. Like, I wasn't ready to be like the end. I was like, did I just really like a James Wan movie? Like, I'd honestly shock, like genuine shock at the end of it when it dawned on me that I think it's his best movie by quite some bit. But that's a conversation where I can go into it in more detail at another time. The one I want to talk about, and you've probably seen it to be fair, because I've seen some of the weirder ones, and those don't translate well to conversations in here. But we'll touch on them maybe at the end once we've talked about the bad. I swing through a couple of titles I've seen that might be worth your time. And your appreciation, whilst not being perfect movies, they have something about them that makes them interesting. But the one that I want to talk about is a Shudder exclusive called Jacob's Wife.
Oh yeah, it's on my short list. I still haven't seen it, and I hear nothing but good things.
It's real good. It's real good. It's directed by the dude that did The Girl on the 13th Floor, which I didn't like.
I don't know if I ever saw that one. It sounds familiar, but I don't know if I ever saw it.
Yeah, it's got the wrestler CM Punk in it.
I did see that, and I
did.
did not like it. Yeah, okay, now I remember.
Yeah, big pile of shit.
Yeah, all the cum coming out of the walls. I remember that one.
Yes, yeah. I wasn't a fan at all. So when I heard he was going to be doing another movie, and it was going to be this Jacob's wife, and it was, it had Barbara Crampton, I was like, well, you have me in with Barbara Crampton, right? I'm there. And then it was like, oh well, Larry Fessenden going to be in it as well. And I was like, this could be interesting. And they play a married couple. They are the reason you watch this movie. Like, genuinely, a lot of what else is happening in the movie you've seen before, right? You've kind of seen before in one way, shape, or form. Their relationship on screen is fucking awesome. I love the idea of this. Like, he plays like a kind of small town preacher, and she is his wife of 30 years. But it looks like 30 years ago she had options, and she kind of settled down with the preacher, and has given away her life essentially to being the wife of a preacher. And she's kind of hitting that age where she wishes that she'd done other things. And it just so happens in and around that point, vampirism strikes. And that is as far as I will go with it. Yeah, it's really good. Their relationship is the reason you watch it. There's some really cool nods to kind of Nosferatu style vampires in it as well. Kind of Salem's Lot-esque actually. And the kind of head vampire is played by the woman that played the nun.
Oh yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
And she's got a perfect face for perfect face for kind of Nosferatu style vampire. And yeah, I'll not go anymore. Is he very fun, dark comedy? I thought it was kind of excellent. And like I say, I think the big set. This is maybe the first movie in a while where I look at that. Fessenden can act, man. Like, Barbara Crampton's a given, but I always forget, like, Fessenden, you get him in the right role and you don't kill him off in like 5 minutes. Like, the dude can actually act. So it's well worth your time. It's been one of the highlights of the 31 thus far. It's not an amazing movie by any stretch of the imagination. Like I say, it's not bringing anything inherently new to the genre, but it's grounded with two characters that I actually cared about, which, like, that is a novelty in itself. So, and there's a couple of I want to spoil things. Like, the police think that there's someone killing people that they believe might be vampires. So the police don't believe it's a vampire, but they see the killing happen in a particular way. It's like, it's almost as if this person believes they're killing a vampire, and they pull over. They pull over. They have a suspicion it might be Fessenden, and they pull him over. And they're like, "What's in the case?" And he's like, "Oh, it's my ministerial stuff to go and do like the last rites at hospital and all the rest." And they're like, "Can you open it?" He's like, "Well, I'd love to, but I really have to go to the hospital because there's someone about to leave this mortal coil, and I need to give them the last rites and all the rest." And they're like, "Just humorous. Can we open it?" And he's like, it's not what it looks like. You open it, there's a Bible, a steak, holy water.
All right. I like everything I'm hearing.
I think you'll get a chuckle. I think you'll get a chuckle from it. I think it's a lot of fun. It's been on the kind of better side of things I've seen. So
excellent. All right. Well, let's enough of this. Hey, what did you see that made you happy? Let's strike a toe because we're about to get into slasher, so let's get it out of the way. I'll tell you. So this, speaking of our lady friend Jamie J. Sammons,
yes,
I had seen her talking up the movie Black Mountain Side, and I was like, oh, I had to watch that, and I did, and that movie bored the shit out of me. Like, I got what it was going for, and there are moments of it that are really cool.
Yeah.
But there are long stretches of not great acting in between the moments of like, oh, that's kind of a cool riff on, this sort of like folk god in the mountains kind of thing. And that part of it's really interesting. But holy shit, Duncan, let's tighten the belt on this thing. God damn.
I think now, if memory serves, the reason this came up in conversation though was because of the summer series. She was basically asking,
That's right.
had this been a title that we put in for consideration for 2014, and most of us that were on that episode had seen the movie, or I remember the movie when it came out. And what I'd said to her was, it didn't make my list. But I remember kind of enjoying the mystery aspect of it, but I remember very little else about it, if I'm honest, Bo. So, but I it's not that long though, is it? Is it 2 hours?
It felt like an eternity, Duncan. I don't know what the runtime is. I feel like I'm still watching it in some ways. But no, is the whole.
I've got a vague memory of it not being like a long movie.
I couldn't tell you, man, because
let's not bother trying to find out either.
Yeah, look, there's no way to know. It's not like there's some magic device that tells you these things. So the thing that really bummed me out about it is because there is like this deer-headed god that people see, and the question is this people going crazy? Is it a real thing? That sort of thing. And like there are characters who have a conversation with this deer god about the nature of what God is and stuff like that. And it's like, this is really interesting. And it would be great if there weren't 20 to 25 minutes of them sitting around and complaining about how the radio doesn't work and all that shit. And I got what it was going for. It would have made an incredible 30-minute short film, and it made a fucking intolerable hour and a half to 2 hour movie.
I do remember really liking the concept. Like, there's certain things in a short form that I think work better, and other things that people complain would be better in a short form that I like in long form. Like the kind of inverse of what you're saying is something like Pontypool. Like, I remember a lot of people moaning that Pontypool, overstays its welcome. It's too long, and I'm like, no. Like, that movie it lives and dies on, Steve McHattie's performance, but it's those prolonged sections of him trying to work out exactly what's going on that really add the tension for me. So yeah, I'll maybe go back to. I know, like I said, like people were talking about it and whatnot. When it came to shortlisting my 2014 titles, I didn't love it that much that it would have made an impact in the 5 that I had selected. So
yeah, I think
there's nothing worse than when you hear everyone like really excited about something, especially people and then you're like, I'm going to watch that movie. You said that you watch it, they're all fucking high. What were they like?
Right.
What's going on?
Well, again, this is Jamie we're talking about, and
man.
Yeah, I mean, I love Jamie to death, but holy shit, every now and again, she'll whip out something on you like, hey, that Nightmare on Elm Street remake is real good. And you're like, I can't even make sense of this world anymore.
Dude, we've been podcasting too long that we reached for that at exactly the same time.
Well, it's also the craziest thing that between the two of us, I've never heard a person say anything crazier.
Yeah, like when it comes to like people that and you would trust with things, like Jamie is one of those people. She's in a short list of people that I would actually trust with information,
right,
and whatnot. And then she says something like that, and you're like, you're making it difficult now, Jamie.
It's the reason I watched Black Mountain Side was because she had said like, oh, this should have been on the summer series. I was like, oh, I've never seen it. Jamie usually has great taste. Let me watch this. I'm like, just
that 2014 episode was super fucking strong. Black Mountain Side was never making that list.
Yeah,
you were on that episode.
Yeah, right. I mean, I had never seen Black Mountain Side, so it wasn't going to make the list. But also, yeah, like there were way too many good movies for that drawn out piece of folk nothing to make the list. Sorry, it's not
drawn out piece of folk nothing is the new Willie Nelson album coming next year.
Yeah, he does. On that album, he does another Coldplay cover that'll break your heart. So what have you been watching that is a real stinkeroo?
I suppose there's the low hanging fruit. Might as well group these together. So far, I've seen 3 of the 4 titles. I'm watching the 4th one today as part of my 31 that come under the Welcome to the Blumhouse banner.
Yeah.
On, oh dear God, oh fucking mighty. That is a slog. Like honestly, so the first one was now let's because they all start Bingo Hell.
I keep hearing that's maybe the worst of them.
Shit.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. I don't like. I'll give him this. There's more. There's more. There's more to differentiate in the releases this year than there was last year. There was a couple that felt very kind of almost in the kind of psychological thriller side of things and necessarily horror. These are all horror movies,
Mm-hmm.
but they're just not very good. Bingo Hell is a comedy. It's a horror comedy about essentially the instead of the devil goes down to Georgia, the devil goes down to a bingo hall. The devil played by Richard Brake, who's great as a villain, and he's probably the best thing about this. But the humor's flat. This feels like a short from like a Tales from the Crypt or something. Because it's Wishmaster. It's essentially Wishmaster, but in the bingo hall. And it's not good. It's under an hour and a half, and it felt ridiculously long. The second one was Black as Night, which is a vampire movie, which
Said
has
New Orleans, which seems cool.
yes, all the accoutrements of things that would make me happy. So it's set in New Orleans after Katrina. So like there's a kind of plot with vampires using like post Katrina New Orleans to do. I'm not spoiling
It makes sense. What a good idea.
Keith David's in that. And he is chewing the scenery in a way which wasn't even pleasant. And once again, that's another one that I kind of feel like it's trying to do. It felt like an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer that had been stretched out. Just felt really. And what I've noticed more predominantly in this one is the Blumhouse Television division that are behind these. So these are TV movies to an extent, as opposed to being actual movies, which makes a lot of sense when we swing into our final one, which was Madras, which I watched yesterday. And that's one that cheekily at the end throws a bit of real life horror in there as a way to kind of justify the horrendously boring experience you've just sat through by saying, well, this actually did happen in real life, not with spirits and whatnot, but I actually found that as soon as that stuff come up at the end, I kind of almost part of me felt like, how fucking dare you do that as a way to there's better ways to get your message across. No one's watching this shitty movie. So they've not been good. But the one that I am going to talk about, Bo, is Spiral from the Book of Saw.
Ugh, why would you do this to yourself, Duncan?
Have you seen it?
Of course not. Those Saw movies are garbage.
Dude, this is a new level. This is a new level.
You don't say.
My. Well, let me put it this way, right? So the Saw movies are garbage, right? But this has Chris Rock, and I'm like that. Chris Rock's playing a cop. I'll check that out. You know, the worst case scenario, I laugh when I'm not supposed to. But I love me some Chris Rock. So it's Samuel L. Jackson playing his dad. Like, you give me a Saw movie where someone's, I'm sick of these motherfucking traps in this you know, like, I want to watch, you know, like, I want to watch that movie. And like the idea of the new Jigsaw or whatever we're calling them is targeting police officers, corrupt police officers. You know what I mean?
It seems like all right. I'm on board so far.
Yeah,
does it all look like blue-green crap?
No, so they've actually corrected a bit of the color as well. So it's like it looks like money was spent on this movie, Paul, which is kind of tragic because it is terrible. And like the first thing, the dialogue is horrific. It's every cop cliche you've ever seen. It's him going in and arguing with his superior, and she wants his badge, but he's going to be there. He's a detective who turned in a crooked cop, so no one on the force trusts him anymore. It's just every cliche you've seen done a million times before. The traps, which I know is what people are. I remember everyone was losing their shit about the. I think they launched the first 10 minutes of the movie on YouTube before it came out. People were like, this trap is gnarly, and I watched it and I was like, this trap is boring. Like this guy is wasting far too much time to try and save his tongue. Like,
Yeah.
it's not his dick that's trapped; it's his tongue. You can live without a tongue. You know
You
what
can
I mean?
get a
Like,
prosthetic
you
tongue. Yeah, you can get like one of them wooden ones, like they had in the olden
yeah,
times.
they can reattach it as well. It's just trapped. It's not like trapped then minced. You know what I mean? It's like we can just reattach that. Like, but almost every other death is done off screen, and then we get a flashback to how the event led up to it.
What,
And
Aaron
I
Martin
hate
write
that.
this?
Yes, dude. Honestly, that it shares so much DNA with an Aaron Martin. I'm actually starting to think that there's a new oeuvre of direction out there where we're going to be talking like it's Martin-esque, because like genuinely, and like if Saw, the new Saw movie, the Spiral from the Book of Saw, was a feature-length episode of the next season of Slasher, I would be like, all right, well, they've spent a bit more money and got some bigger names, but the same level of care, attention, and detail is in that movie. Like it misses the mark on almost everything. The killer is blatantly obvious 20 minutes into the movie. Like I challenge anyone not to guess who the killer is. And in the very end, and if you're not going to watch the movie, if you have no intentions of watching
I
it,
absolutely do not intend to watch the movie.
Right. At the end of this recording, I will tell you how they finish this movie. And you're going to just want to Google that.
Okay. All right.
To make sure that I'm not taking the piss and I haven't just made something up.
All right.
Right.
Well,
you're gonna want to do that because it is baffling how that got out of studio.
All right. I'm excited to have that spoiled, as are my row of heads.
They all look excited.
They are very excited. All right. Well, look, we've done our filthy business, Duncan.
Well, can I just highlight maybe one or two more titles that I think might be worth you checking out?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So these are ones that I've seen that I actually found relatively interesting without necessarily saying like this is a objectively great movie. So the first one I would recommend you check out is We Need to Do Something.
Okay. I've seen.
Right,
yeah. Okay.
Right. So it probably, in terms of the big selling point for me, Pat Healy is in this movie.
All right.
And Pat Healy is going full on Jack Torrance, right?
Oh, I like that.
So, yeah. So it's a hurricane is happening. A family who are all kind of dysfunctional get trapped in. They have like a kind of outhouse area, which is like a bathroom. So it's very fancy ornate sort of room, and they go out into that for shelter. And when they go in there, a tree falls over the door, basically trapping them in. And you just spend time with them, but then it starts to there's something almost mist like about what's going on. Like things don't quite make sense. Weird events start happening that feel like they have a supernatural feel to them, and it all might be related to the daughter who's trapped in there with them and her secret lesbian girlfriend.
Oh, all right.
I found that like I didn't. Apparently, it's based on a book, like a kind of short novel, and I've heard a lot of people saying, it's fairly true to that work. To me, it feels like it would work really, really good as a novel. Maybe not so much as a full film, but there's plenty in there in the performances. There is a scene that creeped me the fuck out, right? And I'm not going to give it away. But there's a scene with a presumed creature outside the door, and then a voice, and it like when it happened, I was like, oh fuck. It just outlanded. There's a couple of really good setups that way. It's very aloof though. I mean, it doesn't necessarily even go as far as to tell you exactly what's happening by the end. You just have to kind of make up your own mind. So that's one that I would recommend that people out there in the internet world check out. Another one which is available on Netflix. I liked it. I know a lot of people didn't like it. A classic horror story.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it's an Italian horror movie, which is kind of the way I let me get my exact words to describe said movie, because it probably does the kind of best way of grouping it together. Part Texas Chainsaw Massacre, part Evil Dead, part Calvert, and part Hostel, but all Italian.
I like all of
nuts.
that.
Yeah, it's nuts. The whole first 2/3 of the movie are one thing, and then it makes a move into a different territory. And if you go with that move, I think you'll really enjoy it. If you don't like that move that they do, I'm not saying the movie falls apart, but it will leave a sour taste in your mouth. But I liked it. I thought it was kind of bonkers, kind of fun. So I'll go with that one. And if anyone out there, I don't necessarily think you'll enjoy this, Bo, but if anyone out there likes the old slasher, not the TV show, but slasher kind of subgenre, and fancies a kind of new teen slasher movie that might tickle an itch, there's Someone Inside Your House, just dropped on Netflix. It's directed by Patrick Bryce, the guy that did Creep 1 and Creep 2. And it's pretty good. And the ending's a bit too high profile and too like it works really well on a kind of macro level. It's a killer killing high school students that have like a dark secret, Bo. And he does it with the digitally, it's a 3D printed mask of the person he's killing.
That's kind of cool.
Bloody.
Yeah.
It's bloody. Like I say, it expands out a little bit too much, and by the end it's like, but the first two thirds of that movie, as a slasher, super fun, super gory. So yeah, worth checking out as well.
I will definitely put those on the list. I'm about at the point where I've got my recordings for the 31 days wrapped up, and so I can start watching other movies again.
Yeah,
because I went like I went from like Summer Series right into this, and I was like, oof, I've been watching a lot of stuff under the gun. I'm having a great time with it. Don't get me wrong. I've been watching good shit. I'm this week. I expect to see. I'll watch Jacob's Wife for sure, and I expect to see Titan.
That's not coming out in the UK until January. So.
Yeah, so I'll tell you all about it. I'll tell you every detail, Duncan. All the shit you don't even want to know.
I've been told that even if you tell me every detail about that, I will still be surprised when I see it. So
it was a conversation I had with my buddy Chad recently, where he was like, "Hey, if you see the trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife, are you gonna go see that?" I was like, "Fuck no." Have you seen the trailer for Titan? And I sent that over to him. He was like, "This is why we're very different people." You know?
Yes, yeah.
But Titan and Dune and probably Macbeth those are the three movies that I'm most excited to see this year. You know?
Yeah, I'd add to that. Was it late night in Soho? Last night in Soho?
Oh yeah, the new Edgar Wright. I
really like the look of that. I really like the look of that. And I think there's another one which escapes me, which I think looks kind of great before the year's out. But I mean, all eyes are on Dune. Dune's got. I know for a fact Dune's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
Because look who's involved with it. Look who's behind it. There's no way he has not let us down.
Yeah, he hasn't made a bad movie.
Never made a bad movie.
Yeah.
Hasn't made one.
Like, did you hear? By the way, speaking of Denis Villeneuve. Somebody asked him if he wanted to make a Bond movie. He was like, "Oh, I'd love to make a Bond movie." I was like, "Well, that's how you get me to watch a James Bond film."
Everyone's like, this is the thing about it. They do this every time there's the because Daniel Craig's supposed to have retired from playing Bond 3 times now, but he kept coming back. And now that they've kind of put him to bed and they're coming back with the amount of directors that are coming in with their pitches now is nuts. Like everyone wants to take a stab at a Bond film, and I would like the. Well, the thing is, this is what gets interesting. Like MGM got bought over, didn't it?
Yeah. Isn't it Disney now?
It's Amazon now.
Amazon, that's right.
I thought it was Amazon.
Yeah, you're right.
So I'm now thinking it's Amazon, Bo. We can do whatever the fuck we want.
Next one filmed entirely in space. Dude, we're gonna remake Moonraker, only actually in space.
If they bring back the reanimated corpse of Jaws, I will be over the moon. Because that's how you get Duncan in on that movie.
I'll tell you what, Denis Villeneuve directing a remake of Moonraker with the things set in space with a zombie Jaws and a score by Philip Glass.
Oh, we might as well be printing money, Bo. This will just be just going for it. Yeah, I like that. I think it'll be interesting to see where all the stuff. I know Kari Fukunaga is already trying to pitch a potential next one for him as well.
Great. Another guy I would like to see, and just do something interesting with that casting. You know, I know a lot of people are all, butthurt about the idea of James Bond being a woman or something, but like, why not? Let's just do something fun with this. Like, I just couldn't give a running shit about James Bond,
Yeah. I like, honestly couldn't give a fuck who plays James Bond at all. Like, because we've had bad Bonds in the past. So.
Sure. I saw On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I know all about it.
I don't like Brosnan's Bond. I know there's people out there that really like Brosnan's Bond, but I don't.
I like him more than Dalton. I think
I love Dalton's amazing. Dalton's like manic. Dalton's performance is kind of the fuck you James Bond, and that's kind of why I like him.
Yeah, I will hand it to License to Kill that they just have a pit of sharks in that movie, and that seems all right.
Like, to blow the pit of sharks.
Yeah. Let's just throw the suitcase full of cocaine or money or whatever it was in the pit of sharks. Watch people go after it.
Yeah, we need to find out though. Do these sharks have freaking laser guns stuck to their heads, Bo?
Man, that's another series I've considered going back to revisit, and I just don't know if that's going to hold up. I have a feeling it won't.
Don't do it.
I have a feeling it's right. When I think back about like Will Ferrell and Brownface, and I'm like, I don't know if that's going to be a good look for that series.
I can't remember what his name is again. It's such a stupid name. I went years not understanding that was Will Ferrell as well. Like, and then I watched it like years and years after the fact. It was like that. Is that fucking Will Ferrell?
Yeah.
I'm not dead. I just very badly burned.
I'm feeling better. Yeah, I mean, it's just terrible.
You
it's
shot me. I can't believe you shot me.
All right, let's
get
into the slasher here. This is episode 2, which covers 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And
a lot happens between these 3 hours. A lot happens, Bo.
There's a lot that goes down. Somebody in I think it was in the Teapots Facebook group, pointed out that like, oh yeah, keeping these like tight periods of time is completely undone by the fact that we do nothing but flashback through this episode. So it's like, well, it doesn't really matter, what
we get additional flashbacks. This is no.
Those 3 hours give you the time to flashback more.
We flashback 20 years in this for no reason at all.
All right.
Like, for no it adds nothing to the character's like actions of what he genuinely does in this episode, except to make me feel sorry for him for a second before he does something that makes me feel totally unsorry for him and wish him death.
All right, let's jump into it because that almost happens right off the bat. So the first scene is just our Emma Notberts stuck up in the vent to remind us, like, oh yeah, she got fucking killed all Jason X style in the last episode.
Her face is all melted.
Face off. And so yeah, she's crammed all up in the vents and whatnot. And then you're right, we flash back 20 years ago. I'm like, whoa. Hang on a second, Slasher. I thought we were only going back a year in this one.
No, 20 years ago, Bo. 20 years ago, vital things will happen that will have an impact to reveal the killer. 20 years ago, let's go. And we're back in a school. Well, the thing is, as well, I thought what we were going to see was that someone else had been murdered and put in the vent or something. So like 20 years ago in the same school, something like this happened. So it's like, no, that'd be silly.
Yeah. No, instead, we're just going to wallow in, I suppose, what they think is being, shining a light on a social ill or some shit. But what it is this guy Angel that we saw getting fucked in the last episode by Dawn's husband.
Yeah.
It's him as a kid in a locker room, and this beefy quarterback dude is like,
Yep.
hey, so we're having a school trip. If you want to go with us, I think you make a great wide receiver. Know what I mean?
Wink.
Yeah, and kind of dropping his towel and showing his dick off and whatnot.
Yeah, that's his opening move. His opening move is let me drop my towel and turn around. So when you turn around, you are practically face to cock.
Yeah, it's it's the dick pic of 20 years ago.
So you unsolicited towel drop. Is that what it was called?
Unsolicited towel drop. And yeah, it just shows off his dick, and this is young Angel who is being approached, and he gives that dick a pretty good look and is like, well, it ain't the worst thing I ever saw. And so the beefy quarterback dude kind of nudges a little closer and is like, so I noticed you were looking at my cock. I was wondering if maybe you wanted to look at it later with me. And then
change it, this is where this all falls apart for me. Like, first he's making his move, like obviously in a place that he could just drop a towel and show his dick off, but it's the fact that he's clearly not spatially aware of where he is, or maybe he is. I don't know, but like as soon as things look like they might start to be making a move, his teammates come in and he nonchalantly grabs the towel. Like anyone that's walked in that room, one that's jocks, right? No one wears a towel anyway. Everyone's just walking around like with hanging dong. That's just a thing. But like the fact he grabs this and then this is the hard turn, right? That once again, which reminds you very, very quickly that any sort of subtle messaging that Slasher might be trying to put through there is embedded in your forehead using a sledgehammer.
Right. What if Elmo was teaching you about gay panic? Where like we're really reaching to the back rows on this one. But yeah, so a bunch of people come in, this beefy quarterback immediately is just like, get off of me, you weird gay dude. And then grabs his towel and just starts whipping this dude with his towel that he had previously dropped to show him his dick.
Yeah.
And then because it's a bunch of young men, they're like, oh, is somebody getting beaten with towels? Well, I'm in. And so everybody starts doing it. And then the quarterback is like, you know what? This is all well and good, but we need to up our game. So he takes a belt. And starts whipping Angel is his name. And starts whipping Angel with this belt. And we see like bloody welts on this poor kid's back, getting the shit beat out of him. And then we cut to credits.
His back looks like fucking Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, The Passion of the Angel. It all fits.
Yeah.
And yeah, sure enough, we just go to the Slasher created by Aaron Martin. It's like, good God, Aaron Martin. Like, what?
I was going to say, but subtly, we're going to come out of Slasher created by Aaron Martin into a scene that eases us back in.
Oh, yeah, where Angel is just getting railed by Joe from next door again.
He's getting railed, and Joe is only now just noticed the scars.
Yes.
They have a conversation together that feels like if they've been fucking for 10 months, that's come up before, Bo.
It's so stupid. So you're right that all of a sudden Joe is like, hey, I know we've been fucking for a while now, but I'm just curious. Yeah. What about, I mean, so much so that I'm your emergency contact. But
don't get me fucking started on this. Don't get me started on this.
But
Jesus Christ.
But I just noticed that you have these terrifying scars on your back that look like you were accused of witchcraft in the 1600s.
Were you prodded and probed by the Witchfinder General Vincent Price?
Right. Yeah. Did you have blood on Satan's claw? Who's to say? and then Angel is like, oh no, that's just for my coming out party. And then Joe's like, hey, I gotta get back to my crazy ass wife. I told her I was gonna go get coffee and not have sex with a neighbor. so I better take off. And sure enough, Angel, we learn, has been filming this whole thing on his phone.
Yeah.
And so Joe
Which,
takes.
I mean, we're going to get to it later on, but for no explicable reason other than, in my opinion, and I know you might disagree, it's blackmail. Whatever he says, it's blackmail.
Yeah, later on he says like, "No, this was just for us," and yeah, I don't buy it. I think it's more.
When you see what he did to Kit the year before, as soon as Kit started to pull away from him, I'm like, this is a malicious act that you're doing under the guise of something else. You can call it whatever you want, but if he doesn't do what you want to do, you have something over him. So
yeah, right.
Which once again, Slasher goes out his way to just make sure that you cannot sympathize with absolutely fucking anyone.
Every character is equally unlikable. Yes.
Yeah, every single one.
And that's why everyone's a suspect, because everyone's a piece of shit. And that, I suppose there is a world in which that kind of works, but also, how about you give me somebody to, like, Sadie is the only person that she's the only character. Yeah, the only character. And the other thing that I was thinking is, like, if you're filming this for you and your lover, whomever that may be, are you going over it like game tapes? You know, where you're just like, I don't even know what was going on here. I don't know what you were trying to accomplish. We're going to cut this out next time.
Yeah, that's not a good look. What are you doing with your face there?
Yeah.
Right. Like, are you enjoying it? Are you not enjoying it? It looks like you're somewhere between discomfort and pain. I mean, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. I look at this
bit here. I'm fairly sure this is where I pulled my hamstring. Don't lift my leg like that.
Yeah. You know, right now, dry as the Sahara. Just saying. You're doing nothing for anybody with whatever this is. So we cut away from that nonsense.
There's a whiteboard. There's like a laser pointer. And there's like lots of like
some X's and O's with arrows pointing. Then your hip swiveled around here, but that went right in the pooper. That's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah, this right here is not the end zone. This is not the end zone.
Yeah. What are you trying to break my hips? Because that's what you were going for.
I'm fairly sure I've seen this position in the UFC.
Yeah.
I think you're supposed to tap when you get this done.
Yeah. Are you going for an orgasm or submission? That's what I don't understand here. So we cut over to Noah, who is given, like, we start off with him on the phone, giving some shit to like his social media consultant or something, where he's like, you're supposed to get me more likes or something. And then he gives it one of those, bye. And I'm like, I understand I'm not supposed to like.
I love a bye. I'm sorry. It's my guilty pleasure. It's honestly, it's the probably the biggest part of me that I dislike about myself. Is how much I enjoy going bye like that.
You do like that. Yeah.
I like it too much, but I don't like it on him. It's like I'm going to chalk up to another like list of things that like Noah's resurrected fucking barista character does that upsets me greatly. Because once again, like everything in this, it's like member phones, social media, influencers, bad, negative. Aaron Martin's he's on the cutting edge. Like no one's talked about this before in horror. Let me talk about how the phones are ruining your attention, how everyone wants to be a celebrity.
Just to point out, this episode aired in 2019.
Yes.
This is not as if this is the cutting edge of social commentary. He is showing up late to the party. Like if this were a key party, he would be pulling his own key. You know what I'm saying? It's over. It's done. Like everyone has made this comment before. He's just showing up to be like, well, I can put a little Aaron Martin stench on it and make it like 80% sleazier to talk about.
It's just like it's the because every conversation or every second conversation is about mobile phones or being like an influencer or important online.
Yeah.
So it's not even like it's in the background. It's all the way through this. Everything has some sort of relation back to social media or blogging or mobile phones or something. And it's like I've got this really cool idea to bring into the show and not having the confidence or the ability to just have it as a subplot where maybe one character's going through that we can gravitate towards. Everyone has to have that trait.
Right. Yes. It
I mean?
is the lack of subtlety and confidence. I think you're exactly right that he just doesn't understand that you can have this as subtext in the show, and that makes it more palatable, because the turn that he takes is just to be entirely didactic. Instead, it's just like, I get it. You're right. Social media and influencer culture and all that stuff is bad, just like a million other shows and songs and movies and like
it's just as bad as it, Bo. Like trying to push social themes into your shitty TV show without understanding even the remotest concept about one, how they work, and two, how offensive they might come across if you don't know how they work.
Yeah. This seems like me writing a movie about social media, where it's just like, well. You kind of understand some of it, but not nearly enough for it to be relevant.
Because it's like a lot of the voices here are kind of teen voices as well. And Aaron Martin is not a teenager.
Yeah, I'm surprised that nobody's like, hey, look at this. I got my phone. It's got the tiki-taki on it.
Yeah, so like Noah's character, we're going to get a bit about, like, he's not long for this episode, if you know what I mean, right? So, like, which I'm not going to lose sleep over, but at the same time, we get a bit more about his backstory as a character. I'm going to say, if the worst thing your character is guilty for is overcharging on coffee, right, and watering down the cream,
it's not the biggest sin.
Unless I get some, I don't know, some fucking Usual Suspect-esque twist at the end to explain that Noah was, I don't know, head of a fucking Russian mafia gang, which could only really explain why he's dressed the way he is. You know what I mean? Unless that comes out, the previous guy worked for the Chinese mafia, stealing cars, right? Yep. This guy overcharges for coffee.
Right. And Emma Notberts she was awful as a human being, cover to cover. She was racist and, all that stuff. But, this guy is just kind of a dick. That's all.
He's rude.
Yeah, he's just a little
hipster.
Rude. Yes, he's a rude hipster. Right. Which sounds like the shittiest superhero you ever saw.
rude hipster.
I'm the rude hipster. Let me pass judgment on your vinyl collection.
I'd like Batman's just solved that crime. Oh, has he? I'd solved it before him. I did it before it was cool. Fuck you, rude hipster.
That kind of attitude. Somebody is full of microaggressions today.
Yeah.
Damn you, rude hipster. But yeah.
What's that? What's that? You've got a hybrid car? I had them as well before they were cool.
My car runs on potato farts.
Potato farts.
So Sadia and her friend Jen have left school to go get more coffee because we need to pretend that this show has multiple sets and all these characters interact. Think about
the timeline here.
Yeah.
Think about the timeline here. This takes place when to when?
Yeah, it's 9 to noon. So she had her first exam when Emma.
She's already sat an exam, and now she's just left school to go and refresh her coffee.
Yeah, open campus, I guess. We weren't allowed to do that when I was a kid, but whatever.
And it's not even the open campus. I'm trying to work out the logistics of because she is going to go back to school and sit another test, right? And this episode finishes at midday.
Sadia, you're fucking with the space-time continuums. Knock it off.
She like it doesn't like once again like if you're going to drives me up the fucking. If you're going to put the idea of confined blocks of time, this needs to make sense. Mm-hmm. And this doesn't make sense unless she's going for coffee at what, 10:30? This isn't like a lunch break or anything like that.
Yeah, no, this is all pre-lunch. So yeah, at lunch she's flying to New York, doing a brown derby.
It doesn't like this stuff. It's like you say, it's a way to have another scene with Noah being a dick, but also at the same time to show that we have like another, like you say, another set. The coffee house, which I at this point started to mistakenly think might be a focal point for the series. And then like R. Martin pulled the rug from under me.
Yeah, they call that real fast. They call that the anti-peach pit.
Now, like, can I just ask something here? Like, I am not tripping. Bill Moseley's in this.
Is he? Is he the homeless guy?
He must be. If he's not, he's his fucking spitting image.
Maybe so. Yeah. So but speaking of, okay, so Jen and Sadia are there. Then I guess Bill Moseley comes in. Let's just assume that it's him. Hold on. I'll do.
Yeah, we need to. Yeah, you do the thing. It must be because when he has the argument about the cigarette, which we're going to talk about in a second.
Yeah, sure enough.
That's Bill Moseley.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's Bill Moseley. What happened here? Like, how did this happen?
It's funny because I just watched that Night of the Living Dead remake, and I had totally forgotten that Bill Moseley was in that.
He's in everything.
Yeah, but it was I had no idea that it was anyway. Yeah, so Bill Moseley is the homeless guy, confirmed. And
yeah, Chop Top's the homeless guy.
Yeah. Hey there, Leatherface. I want some coffee. And he kind of gives Sadia a look as he's coming in, and Noah comes around the counter as soon as this dude rolls in. It's just like, no, you get the fuck right out of here. You are making this, you're lowering my property value just being here right now. And so he gets kicked out. We'll see more out of him in a minute. And then Jen is talking to Sadia about going to this big solstice party that night.
She just knows the last episode. You know it's the last episode. Fuck this show.
So, well, how else are we going to find out that the teacher's the killer, Duncan?
I'm still going with 2 killers, possibly 3.
Okay, all right. I hope you're right, because that would be something. That it's like a murder on the Aaron Martin Express where everybody has killed everybody. But anyway, so while they're talking about going to this party, Noah comes over to complain about how much cream they're using. Where he's like, if you're going to order a latte. And Jen starts to record him complaining on her phone. Yes,
mansplaining.
She describes as mansplaining how much cream she can have, and he's like, no, that's not what I meant. It's fine. Also, don't come at me like I'm not woke. And then he reveals a tattoo, Duncan. That is the same tattoo I've got on my lower back. I've got it as a tramp stamp. But it is.
That's where you got it done. Yeah. I didn't know where it was.
But it's the word woke in script on his neck in an anchor. And he says, I was woke before that was a thing, because the only way to be more hipster is to say that you were hipster before hipster was cool.
It's hipster squared, Bo.
Yes, it's hipster to be squared.
God, no. No, stop the man.
Stop
the show now.
That's Huey Lewis in the News for you. And then Sadia reminds the audience, like, oh, I don't have my phone. And Jen's like, oh, right, Emma Notberts took it, so let's go get it back.
Yeah.
And so then we cut to the only character I've ever liked on an Aaron Martin show, where our lady detective is talking to the medical examiner, one presumes.
Can I just tell you right now, like, this is boner material. She is hot.
All right, this is just... This is Aaron Martin having seen an episode of NCIS with that goth medical examiner chick and was like, I want to do that. And
yeah, she's also a little bit of Will Graham in her.
Yeah,
this but is not my like design. Not the intelligent part that makes that show amazing. She's good at solving things, or she's good at piecing things together as someone that deals with like decapitated heads. I don't know. All I know is there is a part of me which has never grown up from being 18 years old and being kind of goth, and she ticks so many boxes.
Yeah. So
when she fists that head, I about came in my pants. So there you go.
Let me tell you about a movie called High Tension, Duncan. I think you're really gonna like
it. What's this? Aaron Martin didn't write or direct this episode. Aja did?
Yeah. This is all Alexander Aja.
You come in for one guest appearance. Hi, we will fist the head with this goth chick.
Right. It's like he directed this scene. I have the way to make your television show so much better.
We have no idea if that's how he sounds either.
I'm pretty sure.
I like it. I'm also liking that you're working on your impressions ahead of next year when we start doing the Pink Panther series. So.
Oh yeah, I've been lining that up. It is mid-year. So this medical examiner, who's like we were talking about, is kind of gothed out, dark hair, dyed, some piercings, that kind of shit. Very excited. Yeah, very excited to be a medical examiner to deal with dead people all the time, which is another attractive quality. And she says, well, what I've realized is this wasn't a professional hit because the instrument used was either an axe or a sword, neither of which were especially sharp.
Yep.
And so it took a little time for this guy to die. And also, she describes the mounting of the head on the car as whimsical.
Yeah, loved it.
Yeah.
Like if I'm that detective, I'm like, well, you're now on my suspect list.
For sure, yeah. And she says, was it mounted facing out or facing at the car? And she was like, facing out. Is that more whimsical? And she's like, nah, actually it'd be more whimsical if it were looking in. And then, Duncan, we hear a phone vibrating. And they're like, is that me? No. Nope.
That's literally the kind of, I think your phone's, no, it's not you. Maybe it's not me.
I've got mine silenced. Wait a second. It's coming out of the head. And this is where she fists the head to pull this phone out from the bottom. And it's just...
Is this Aaron Martin being funny?
Maybe, because it doesn't go anywhere. It just turns out that when she pulls out the phone, that it's just like you could be a winner, one of those spam sweepstakes calls, but that's it.
This is obviously it's a couple of weeks since we watched it. Didn't he enter something in the first episode, or have I just made that up completely?
Dude, I don't remember if he did. But again, even if he did, what does it matter? Is it just irony? Yeah. Is that what we're going for? Like, isn't it ironic?
Traffic jam when you're already late, Mo.
Mr. Chopping Cars entered a sweepstakes. Got his head cut off.
He died the next day.
Yeah,
that's right.
Isn't it ironic? See,
no.
Yeah,
I see what you did there.
All right, let's do it.
So it goes nowhere except for a little wink and a nudge, and that's it. And I'm like, what's the fucking point?
Yeah, look, I asked my question a lot while watching this show. Speaking of, let's go to a flashback.
We've not had enough of them, Bo.
Oh, just hang on, Duncan. This thing's gonna cut back and forth like a Ginsu knife. So not sure that makes sense. And then
can cut through a can though, Bo.
It can, yeah. It sharpens as you cut. And then Angel is basically doing a little bit of recording with the dude who Kit, the guy who died in the first episode.
Yes, yeah.
And he and Kit are making out, and Angel's like, I love you so much. And Kit's like, oh, yeah, there's no way this could go wrong. And then they start making out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the whole scene.
Well, yeah, well, he says he loves. He says he loves him. Kit doesn't answer that back, and kind of says, like you. I mean, you love that thing I do, And we're kind of setting up here that one may be more serious about this relationship than the other one. And since we know that we saw Kit and that we saw Kit like riding everything with a pulse, in the opening episode, it's clear that he doesn't. He's not going to say he loves him, and this might be a one-sided relationship.
Yeah. Again, information that we had in the first episode. I'm glad we're going to do at least 2 more flashbacks to drive this home.
We will drag this out as long as possible, Bo.
Right. We got 10 episodes to fill, Duncan, before we...
10?
Yeah. Oh, 8. No, I'm sorry. You're right. Sorry, Duncan.
Oh, don't do this.
Sorry. No, that's the...
I just aged.
The true... The true horror of Slasher season 3. 2 more episodes. It's October, Duncan. It's a time for scares.
Oh, I swear to God. I just got a mini panic attack there.
Your reaction of, what?
Don't ever do that again.
Oh, man. Anyway, so we jump forward again, and Dawn is checking her views. And
it turns out she's not popular at the moment, Bo.
Yeah.
It also turns out that maybe what we said in the previous episode about her maybe making light of a certain tragic event that has just occurred is in poor taste.
Right. There's a comment on her video post, and it's somebody saying, you are a narcissist / sociopath for capitalizing on this murder, which is entirely accurate.
Yes. Yes.
And then Joe comes back, stinking of coffee and Astroglide. And
he did not shower.
No, didn't even get a sex towel wipe down or anything.
Yeah, like he did not wipe cock. Like he walked out there like fully confident that it will not smell like another man's anus.
Yeah,
I mean, like
or lube. The sweet stench of lube, Duncan.
Yeah, like he has a sex smell when he walks back in there, which he's trying to mask with a couple of overpriced coffees.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, Duncan, but like after sex, there is a 2-minute towel off of just let's clean this up before we go to bed. How about that? How about I don't wake up with my dick smelling like a swamp?
2-minute towel off is an upcoming podcast that me and Bo will do together. We both speak to each other naughtily to find out who can get the other one moist quick enough, and then we'll see who can dry off fastest.
Yeah.
That's about as far as I went with the planning for it. It needs refinement, Bo. It needs refinement.
It's going to be great, though. Don't kid yourself. It's going to be a big, big hit. And then when it's going to be a thick hit.
Matusies. Is that thick? Is that thick Matusies?
That's right. Thick cock is Wild Bill Thickcock, they call him. I you know what? I kind of pity anyone not watching this live.
Oh man.
So Dawn is like, guess what? You're never gonna believe this. I found a guy who's willing to sell me video of this head on a car for $200. And Joe's like, what? No.
He does what I would. This is the most honest reaction ever in the history of Slasher, where I'm like, you fucking high right now? No.
Yeah. And she's like, listen, babe, content is king. And he's like, whoa, why are you talking like this?
Yeah, well, like, because she does a thing and then she does a pout. Like a visible pout after saying it. And he's like, who are you right now?
Yeah. She's terrible. And like the actress is actually doing a very different character than she did in the last season. And I think she's got some chops. It's just that this character is the worst. But Joe is like, I am 100% not giving you money to go meet some stranger somewhere to buy this video, which, by the way, that's how she's going to die. Let's be real.
Chekhov's handover.
Yeah, exactly. And because it just makes sense. Like, it is the killer telling her, I've got this video, you can come.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, I know what's going on here, Slasher. Anyway.
Does her death get streamed to the internet on her blog page?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure. So the episode 3 already planned out. So Angel is hanging outside apartment 104 in present day, and then we flash back a year ago, and we are reminded that apartment 104 was Kit's apartment.
Yeah.
And this is in the flashback, he lets himself in, and there's Emma Notbert's fucking kid.
Right, she must be how old if it's a year ago?
14, 15? Like, she's...
Maybe.
Absolutely underage. And not
like,
that...
Once again, Aaron Martin doesn't give a fuck.
And neither does Kit, clearly.
And neither does the man that snuck in either. Because I'd be reporting his ass.
Well, he's holding on to a corkscrew, I think it is, that he squeezes so hard that his hand bleeds to let us know that, he's angry. And
the corkscrew is a callback to Friday the 13th Part 4.
Yep. Where's the corkscrew?
Ted! Where's the corkscrew, Ted? Thump. Love it.
Do you think I'm a dead fuck? And then we cut over to our drunken racist Sheriff Dan, who comes to after taking a nap after, telling his daughter she's a whore. And he's just like, oh, God damn it, let me have one of these half-warm beers just to wake myself up. And then he calls Emma Notbert's phone, and it's a voicemail where she's like, hey, nobody leaves a voicemail anymore. Go fuck yourself.
She says, hey, fucktards.
Yeah, hey, fucktards. That's right. Oh, thank you, Aaron Martin, for being edgy. And so he just grumbles, goddamn voicemail. And then hangs up on her, and then just drinks some more from a lukewarm beer that's open on the counter.
He drinks some more, and then when he's drinking it, he's like, wait 1 second, I have a vague memory of, and then he looks over and sees her phone smashed on the floor as if to say, oh yeah, I did that.
Right, yeah.
Pays off to nothing, by the way, because we don't go back to his character for this episode.
Right, which is a bummer because it's one of the few characters, I mean, he's terrible, but he's at least entertaining.
Yeah.
But all right,
he's married to someone famous. I mean, that just blew my mind last time.
Yeah,
how?
Mr. Tori Spelling.
How?
I have not dipped my toe into the waters of their reality show, but it's only a matter of time, Duncan. That's like once I am put in a home somewhere, that's all I'll watch.
Binging it.
Yeah,
I like it
for sure. And so Angel finds Joe outside on the steps and decides that it's time to force the issue of like, hey, how about you stop fucking me and your wife and stringing us both along?
Once again, proven, I think, to the point that this guy's maybe a bit more malicious than we're portraying on here, because there are places that he could do this conversation, and he's doing it right outside the place that this guy lives with his wife.
Who, by the way, passes by and is just like, hey, what are you two boys talking about?
Yeah, around the corner. And then he's like, oh, didn't know she was there. Yikes.
Yeah, and Angel is like, look, me and your awful wife both deserve better than you stringing both of us along.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of that scene. We're just setting the stage for, hey, I need you to both come out and get rid of your wife so we can be together.
Yeah, on this day right now.
Yes, today, preferably. And so finally we go to the school where Vera Notmiga is handing out some tests, and everybody's like, hey, where is that awful girl Cassidy? I have class with her and she's not here. And they're like, I don't know. I mean, better off, I guess. And then a kid in class shows Sadia a picture of the head mounted on the car, and it's like,
Yeah.
you just tried this shit on me. And she's like, what are you talking about? And then Vera Notmiga sees this kid showing the phone, and she takes the phone away from him and basically just kicks him out of the class.
Yeah, it forces him to sit his test in her room. I would have forced him out the school with no test sitting. You failed.
Yes, you you are awarded no points. May God have mercy on your soul.
You lose, sir. You lose.
You get nothing. So then we cut back over to Angel, because it's kind of his episode ultimately.
But is it though? Because it pays off to nothing.
Yes, you're right. I know you're right, but he is the focus of the episode for sure.
For some reason, inexplicably, he is the focus here, which maybe our Martin's kind of got wise to if the audience knows if I make the focus of it round an episode, that that character's going to die. Wait till they get a load of this.
Wait till they get a load of me. And yes, so Angel's leaving like a Pride Committee meeting. And he's calling somebody, and this is where Angel seems like a decent guy, where he's going to this meeting, he's calling a guy on the phone that's like, hey, you weren't at this meeting, I just wanted to check on you, make sure you're okay. And then Bill Moseley comes out of nowhere and is like, got a light?
Chop top. Yes. Got a light.
This is the water, Leatherface. And this is the well.
So David Lynch is the guest director for this scene. Once again, adding to the Angel being a good guy, he gets asked if he's got a cigarette. He says he doesn't have one, and his return back to the homeless guys. Listen, if you're looking for work, the community centre is, they have availability there. You can get yourself a job, get yourself back on your feet, like actually doing something genuinely nice. And for some reason, Bill Moseley smashes a bottle over the side of Angel's head, and then is like still asking him for a fucking cigarette. And I'm like,
he says, I didn't want a job, I wanted a smoke.
Yeah.
And that's so anyway, we'll get back to him in a minute. And so then we go back to school where Sadia has taken the same exam or maybe another exam, who knows.
Who knows? Concepts of time, like in this show, apparently you can sit a test in an entire subject like easily within an hour. Like, my tests at school were over an hour, so I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, especially exams. Yeah, those were like, hour and a half, 2 hours. But so Sadia sees this guy in a hoodie outside the door, and Vera Notmiga, the teacher, is like, wait a second, somebody's outside the door in a hoodie. And she opens the door up, and this kid just runs in and goes, solstice party tonight, and then runs out.
Yeah.
And Vera Notmiga is like, does anyone know who that young man is? We're going to get to the bottom of this. I'm going to get the rude hipster on the case. But anyway, so I already found him. And I let him go because he was boring and basic. So.
That's the rude hipster superpower. He solved the crime before it happened.
Yeah. I already solved that crime. I'm going to go listen to Mumford and Sons. His sidekick is a Mumford. So Angel, meanwhile, is at the ER, which I think is the same hospital set that we used in the first season. But
I think so.
Joe comes rushing in, and he's like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I just got assaulted by Bill Moseley in an alley."
Couldn't believe them like our Martin managed to talk him into doing this.
Yeah,
he must be really hard up this much.
I was really shocked to see him. Were you surprised that it was Bill Moseley? I was surprised. And Joe is like, okay, you're safe. That's good. How about you don't call my work and force me to explain to my supervisor why I suddenly have to leave because a friend of mine was injured in an accident. And it's like, I don't know that that's that difficult to explain. You don't have to be like, oh, my friend who I'm fucking. You could just be like, no, my buddy, like, he's not married. He doesn't have family in town, so I'm his emergency contact. End of story.
Yeah.
You're not out nobody.
I suppose from his perspective, like, today has all been about awkward conversations with this guy pressurizing him to leave his partner. And like, after the last conversation he had where he's like, that, you need to trust me, just let me do things my way, we'll sort out. Within an hour of that, he's called at his work from the hospital to come in to find out that this guy's his next of kin. I mean, it does feel like
it's a lot. Yes, it's a lot.
You know, like, it's 2 steps away from him coming through the door and Angel being dressed in full wedding attire.
Yeah,
saying, I do. It's like
if he showed up and Angel was in a tuxedo with a ring, you're my next of kin. Also, I do. Like,
from him, his overreaction is I'm with you. It's not a difficult thing to explain away, but he feels like he's getting flustered by the whole situation. So it's an overreaction on his part. But then again, I also think, like, once again, he's the guy that's doing the dirty here. He's sleeping behind his wife's back. So I mean,
also Joe's really shitty move here is, okay, now that I know you're okay, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
I'm leaving. And by the way, I'm going to leave you cab fare to get home. Yeah. Which is a real shitty move. And again, this is easy to explain to his wife or anybody of like, yeah, he's a friend of mine. He got injured. I'm giving him a ride home. You know? Yeah. But anyway, he called.
It's a head injury. He shouldn't be driving. He should be left alone.
But instead, he's like, I'm going to go to work. By the way, I will tell my wife that I'm having this gay romance. Ooh la la la. I'm having this affair with you on my own time.
I genuinely thought you were rebooting there.
It happens.
That pause went on a bit too long, and then the first. Ooh la la.
Yeah.
What's happened to Bo?
The Bobot is broken. Not to be confused with my Adrian Barbobot, which is an entirely different thing. So he's like, I'll check on you when I can, and then Joe fucks off. And then we do another flashback.
So many flashbacks.
So many flashbacks. I think they were on sale in bulk. And so Aaron Martin was like, well, I'd be a fool not to buy all of these flashbacks. It's you get 2 flashbacks, the third's free. So it's Kit coming out of his bathroom to show off this devil outfit that we saw him in the first episode. And Angel is like, hey, so I like your devil outfit. Also, I saw you fucking Emma Nodberts earlier. And he's like, look, that's kind of our thing, right? Is that I get to fuck whoever I want. You can do whatever you want. You should have just joined in. And he's like, that's not what I want. I don't want you seeing other people. Get out of my house. And so that's kind of it. We've yet again established it should have just happened all in that flashback when he catches them fucking.
One flashback should all been there. There's also in the background of this, he has procured some sort of mind-altering drug substance thing, which I think is supposed to be like a version of peyote or something. I don't know.
It's like Spanish fly. It's some kind of aphrodisiac thing is what he says, what Kid says. And anyway, so we go back to the present day where our junior detective who showed up in the first episode finds our main detective, and she's got a vision murder board set up that is just like, hey, here's all the people that could be responsible for this death of this dude today, whose head was found on the front of the car. And then they're like, hey, let's talk about another character that we've never really discussed before. This lady, Amy Chao, who was the girl who...
We mentioned this in the last episode as well, which made me smile because I said to you, technically she's the murderer because she's the one that hit him with the car and then he died. And then I think you'd said, well, I mean, he was on his way out. And they basically addressed that in this episode. As if like that. Duncan and Bo might review this at some point, so we need to wrap this up straight away. They basically say like, the coroner had said he had like minutes left to live and this was a mercy killing, but that she felt personally guilty for it, so she did time for it.
No, she was
out in a year.
Yeah, so she was ultimately charged with manslaughter or something.
Yeah, and got released within a year.
Yeah, thank goodness. So she can be on this show. And then we cut over to her doing VR stuff.
Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah, she's hip. Daddy's cool. And so dumb. And then Noah ends up calling her, and she's like, nobody calls anymore. People text. Get off my phone. And she's like, well, wait a second. Noah says, look, I know you've got a friend of yours who's into like organic ingredients, and I need you to give him a call and see if you can get me a deal on some stuff. And she's like, yeah, fine. I got to go back to killing zombies in this fake video game that I'm playing. And that's it.
So this is the connection here. Like, so she is she can't just be someone that was driving in the neighborhood. She has to be intrinsically linked to the guy that has the coffee.
Right. So,
but while this is happening, he's watering down the cream.
Yes. Yeah. Right. This is where we see watering the cream, which I find watering the cream, by the way, my favorite sexual move.
Oh dear.
You can get more of that on 2 Minute Towel Off. Coming soon. And then
it's coming spelled CUMM.
That's right.
Just making sure.
Yeah, we're it's brand synergy, Duncan. It's all been leading to this. Why do you think the show was called Duncan and Bo Come Correct?
Well, I had wondered for a while. I'm glad that it's all coming full circle.
Full cock ring. I don't, that's what the kids say, Duncan. And Dawn goes to do another of her terrible videos in front of the door of Mark Stroganoff's apartment. And she's like, hey, it's Violet, which is her name on this particular season. And Dawn says, I'm going to give you the top 5 reasons he was the next logical victim of the Druid. Reason 1.
This is a BuzzFeed video right here.
Yeah. I was like, wow. I mean, first of all, I want to hear all 5 reasons. But
we don't get. Well, this is the thing. Like the show just fucking it teases you with it and it's like that. No.
Yeah. So
it also gives the indication that she doesn't like. We're going to get to it in a minute, but the idea that she wants to be an influencer, but she has no ounce of originality at all. So we've seen her do this is my breakfast bowl that I have in the morning. And now she's like, oh, I need to do like the true crime thing because people are interested in that. Now I'm going to do my BuzzFeed video thing. And then we're going to cap this out in this episode with a recreation of the Lee Brittany Alone.
Dude, we'll get to that. But that is the moment where I was like, you can just straight fuck yourself, Slasher.
Yeah.
But before we get to that,
we'll get to
Angel shows up. And is like, what is wrong with you as a person, as a human being? What is wrong with you? And you need to show some respect.
I can't believe I'm fucking your husband. Oops. Ooh, did I say that? Whoopsie.
Maybe.
Bye.
God. And all right, so they're arguing with each other outside, and Dawn is like, he was a shitty criminal. It sounds like karma to me. And then out of the apartment comes Mark Stroganoff's wife to be like,
the grieving widow.
Right. Hey, how about both of you shut the fuck up? I'm in here trying to plan the funeral of my husband that just died, which, by the way, doesn't really happen that fast. But, what are you going to do?
Well, yeah, once again, his body was found less than 3 hours ago.
Yeah. Right.
And it was involved with, wait a second, a murder crime, which means you ain't getting that body back for a while.
Right. And maybe she's just right. Like the way it works, at least here in the U.S., is like eventually you have to release the body to a funeral home, but that only happens when there is a body ready to be released, and that is clearly not the case here. So
not an hour after it was found. That doesn't happen that way.
Yeah. So, but she's right. She's like, don't stand in front of my apartment yelling about the murder of my husband. I'm dealing with a lot of shit right now. And Dawn walks off as like, fine, I'll just come back later, stupid bitch. And she's, by the way, recorded the whole conversation on the videotape, Duncan. She used one of the video machines. She has a recording on her phone of this entire conversation, and Angel goes to his separate corner, which is his apartment, and he opens the door, which is slightly ajar, which is when a door's not a door. And his apartment has been tossed by somebody.
Yes.
And I would point out,
interestingly enough, he goes to his I don't know, we're gonna get into funny words here. He goes to his rubbish bin.
His trash can, yes.
His trash can. Opens it up and like initially put like that's where he goes straight away, and he lifts out the bag that was in there to pull out a small black box, which I'm like, that drugs?
Yeah. That's what I thought too, is like, oh, is this his stash of illegal aphrodisiacs or whatever? Yeah. But it's not. We'll get to it.
Aphrodisiacs are us. And that's the name of my company.
And all right, but we'll get to that explanation here in just a second. But before we do that, there's a quick bit with Noah, who is looking through his inventory of sandwiches.
Yes.
And realizes
it's a busy day. It's a busy day in the cafe. It really, really is. He's going to count the fresh sandwiches.
Yeah, one of these sandwiches that is going to get thrown out if nobody buys it anyway, which clearly no one is. And so he runs outside to find Bill Moseley.
Chop Top's eating a sandwich.
Yeah. I got a BOT, Leatherface.
It's like it's a hard day on site. I just get the feeling that he actually just picked up something from catering, and Aaron Martin was like, "Eureka!" Like, let's get a camera over here and film him with Noah.
Have I got a part for you? How would you like to play a stereotypical homeless guy? That sounds great. So Noah, like the Bill Moseley is like, "Why, you want it back?" And he's like, "No, you just keep it. The sandwich was garbage the second you touched it," which is a terrible thing to say to people, but what do you got to do?
Yeah.
And all right, so that is all that goes on there. Let's do a flashback, because we've only got 3 or 4 more to go. I'm looking at my notes, and I think there's 3 more. So
we only have 3 more to go and 5 minutes left in the episode.
Right. And so we cut to the solstice party where Angel is in a leather harness and a leather cap and whatnot. And
village people.
Yeah, very village people. And he's got this Wild West style water skin that he taps some of his drugs into.
Yeah.
And he goes to find Kit, who is in the middle of a guy-girl situation on the couch. And when
everyone is too beautiful in this scene.
Yes, we talked about this in the last episode, that this rave party is way too attractive.
Yeah.
But sure enough, yeah, these are 2 beautiful people that you would be lucky to be fucking. And whoever you are.
Watching fucking.
Or watching fucking, yeah. It's like Daniel Craig and Rachel Weisz. Like, I just want to see them have sex. So... Anyway, he gets up when he sees Angel approach, and Angel is like, "We're just going to be friends from now on. But I brought you this flask with some drugs, but you're a little messed up, so maybe you don't want to drink all this." And Kit's like, "What are you talking about? I'm going to drink all of it." And he does. He just turns up this, like, squeezes it, rolls it down like a roll of toothpaste to get all of it. And then Angel is like, well, I'm going to leave. And Kit's like, I'm going to miss you. Bye-bye.
Mate.
And then Angel takes off. And that is the scene. We get a scene in which we understand now that Angel has roofied Kit for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, because like I don't know if you're supposed to think this is the aphrodisiac or if this is him giving them something else as payback.
Yeah. And so there's a quick moment with Sadia and Jin in the hallway after the test, trying to call Sadia's cell phone to find it. And oh, by the way, Sadia's father calls Jin's phone to be like, hey, where's my daughter? I've been trying to call her. And Sadia talks to him and says, no, everything's cool. I was just in a test and they took my phone. Bye. And
like once it like I couldn't turn my phone on, but clearly I'm not in a test right now, which doesn't explain why my phone is not turned on.
Yes. So but that's that whole scene, just to remind us that Jin and Sadia are a thing, and I don't think they show back up in this episode.
Well, they do try phoning the phone, and it is in the air vent,
right
beside the body. So that's what we get. So maybe that's how they'll discover the body later on. Someone will hear the phone. I don't know. I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah, I assume so. But yeah, you're right. That's it. Those are the only times we see Jin and Sadia for the rest of this episode. So let's go back to Noah, who's making some organic slaw or something. With some red cabbage when the druid enters, and Noah doesn't see this. The druid, our killer, flips the open sign to closed.
Yeah. And
then goes up behind Noah and just pours out some coffee beans from this decanter to get his attention.
Yeah, the name of them as well is what he tries to say after his head's been beaten a couple of times, which it just sounds like gobbledygook. It's like kahula bula bula.
Yeah.
It's the name of the beans.
Kahula bula bula. My favorite. That's more of a medium roast, but that's how it's got caffeine in it. Strangely, dark roast, less caffeine, which seems counterintuitive to me. Yeah, just hey, look, edutainment. It's what we strive to be.
Edutainment.
And then in one of the more satisfying moments on the show, the druid just grabs Noah by the back of the head and bangs his head in the wall a few times. And that felt pretty good to watch. And so the druid, here's the gnarly death of this episode, is the druid takes this coffee bean decanter and just crams it into Noah's face.
Yeah.
And then, as if that's not enough, he goes to get some water from a kettle that's whistling.
Yeah, which just conveniently is boiled.
Yeah.
Love it.
And then pours it right down Noah's stupid face. And then jabs like a little tube into his neck to bleed him out.
It's a great kill.
It's pretty
I'm not
good.
Gonna lie. I think it's a great kill. I genuinely. This is the frustration in watching this show is that it clearly has one aspect right in the whole slasher thing. It gives you memorable kills.
Yeah.
I can recall the deaths of characters in season 2 and season 1.
Yeah. Yes, that right. It does a good job with the kills. It does a terrible job with everything surrounding it.
Everything else.
So the druid, after bleeding him out, flips the sign back to open and takes off. Then we go to Joe, who is confronting Angel. Oh, here's the thing we missed because it happened so quickly. Is while Dawn is checking her YouTube channel. By the way, like and subscribe. While she's checking her YouTube channel, she notices a video has been uploaded that is just Joe and Angel fucking.
Hardcore.
Yeah. And we don't see the conversation between Dawn and Joe, which would have actually been interesting. You were going to say
we don't see the cocks. I thought you were going to say we don't see the cocks. I swear to God.
Which is also a shame. Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna see boobs this time around, Netflix, let's see somebody hanging brain.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Joe then goes to confront Angel about the video that got uploaded, and Angel admits to taking the video, But he was like,
it's hard not to admit
right,
the video, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, hard not to. 2-minute tell off coming soon. And then but Angel's like, hey, I didn't upload it to shit. By the way, did you notice how all my apartment is fucked up? Like, somebody came in and broke into my apartment, and I just left my phone laying around because it's 2019 and nobody takes their phone with them. And so somebody must have gotten that. And then Joe is like, you know what? This is what I hate. You're always playing the victim, which, in fairness, Duncan, thus far on the show, he has been the victim the entire time. He's the victim.
I also think, isn't that, we've had this conversation before in Slasher season 1.
Mm-hmm.
No, sorry, it was Slasher season 2. It was season 2, and it was with Annie and Peter. And that's literally, this is the same conversation.
Oh, and
you always play the fucking victim.
Did it happen with, Give It Away Kate in the first one?
It did, yeah.
With the husband?
This is how it all links together. It links together with a character that is always playing the fucking victim role.
Yeah,
playing the victim.
Aaron Martin just copy-pasting his way through a new season of Slasher.
He's in the writer's room going, do we have a victim character?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, there's someone that dies. No. Someone who's always playing the victim. Do we have that in this season? Well, no, we don't, Aaron. Then we don't have a season. Guys, we don't have a season.
Now
Back
we do.
to the room.
Yeah. So anyway, Joe breaks up with Angel here. He's like, I'm done with you. I told you I was gonna come out in my own time, and you fucked all this up for me, and I'm gone. And
how does this work? You know what I mean? Like, the video's out there. He's clearly fucking another man. Your marriage is over. Let's be honest. You're not going back and saying it was a one-time thing. He meant nothing to me. That video shows otherwise. But he clearly isn't happy in his marriage. He clearly loves dudes. So how does this play out?
Also, Dawn asks him, like, I was watching that video and I watched it to its entirety, and I just want to ask you, how did you not notice those scars on his back before? Like, it's clear you guys have been doing this for a while. And I just don't know, like, was it purely physical? Yeah. And even if it were purely physical, you would have physically seen those scars. I don't get it.
Did you at least ask him how he got it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So bad. So we've got a couple more flashbacks left in this episode. Let's go to the first one. And this is the most useless of all of them.
And that's saying a lot.
Yeah, it's a high bar for useless flashbacks, but somehow this is the worst, where it's back at the solstice party a year before, where Angel is just watching Kit make out with another lady. And
this guy is the horniest man on the fucking planet.
He's all juiced up. He's got all that Spanish fly rolling through him. He's like he's not fucking the pole that they're laying against, you know? And then Emma Nodberts rolls up and is like, oh, look at him. He's sexy. And Angel's like, shut up. And that's it. That's the whole thing.
Well, he basically says that she should, I think the parting thing is that she should stick around to see what happens, which makes me think that it wasn't the drug that he thought he was consuming. Because he says, you want to stick around to see this.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I don't. And from my point of view, the indication is that he's put something else in there, potentially.
Yeah,
potentially. It could be Rehypnol, actually. Now that you mentioned that wouldn't surprise me. So
yeah,
yeah.
So all right, then back to the present, where Dawn is recording a video about like her breakup with her husband. And then she's watching it back and ends up trashing it, where she's like,
she doesn't like it, but it doesn't feel authentic.
So she does a take 2 where she brings
her pillow.
Yeah,
she brings her pillow from bed to put behind her against the wall that she's sitting down on to film it like she's lying in bed.
That's right.
That's the first thing that makes me say, fuck her. Yeah. Right? That's the first thing. That's the tip of a very long iceberg, Paul.
Yes. And then she starts crying and starts screaming, "Leave Violet alone," which is, of course, a direct reference to the Leave Britney Alone stuff. and it's just the fucking worst.
It's painful to watch.
Yeah. It's so on the nose. Again, there is a way to be subtle about this, and that's just not Slasher's bag, is to be subtle about stuff.
It's also Aaron Martin making a reference to YouTube videos from 2007.
You know what? Let's get to I'm curious. I don't know the exact date. So
I'm trying to think. YouTube came out. I want to say YouTube's 2006 is when it started, and it was one of the early ones.
So it was in 2007, 12 years prior to this episode.
Finger on the pulse, Martin. Finger on the pulse, Martin. That's what they call him.
Yeah, this got put on the tiki-taki. So
voice of a generation, Martin strikes again.
It's so bad. All right. So then Angel has completely cleaned up his apartment now in about 5 minutes.
What a guy.
Look, man, that guy keeps his ship tight and right. I appreciate it. I wish I had that level of house cleaning in me. But he is
a witch, like we mentioned earlier on. And
you think he gave a little dink-a-dink-a-doo?
Yeah.
Samantha, which by the way is Tony Danza talking to Samantha the witch in who's the witch. Clean up this house, Samantha. It's so stupid. Anyway, Angel goes to his mystery box, which you and I both thought were drugs, and it turns out that's not the case at all, Duncan. It's, in fact, a bloody shirt, and it's the shirt that he was wearing at the solstice party, which, when we saw it in the previous flashbacks, is all clean.
Yeah, you can eat your dinner off it, Bo.
So it's time for the show's last flashback, where we explain why there's blood on the shirt, which is that after Kit has died in the street, Angel crosses the police line where a bunch of blood has pooled on a manhole lid.
Yep.
So he just rubs his hands in the filth of blood and manhole cover and rubs it on his chest. And
he's like a fucking, he's like a warlord who's like bathing in the blood of his dead victim.
Right. It's like Akira Kurosawa guest directed this scene. Where a samurai warlord is,
also, like you say, he's crossed the police line. There's still police officers out there, and he's walking around covered in fucking blood.
Right, like putting evidence on himself, which wasn't there to begin with. And the lady detective has my favorite moment in this whole episode, where she goes, "What are you doing?"
Yeah,
and I was like, "Yeah, what is he doing? That's a great question." And And then we cut back to the present where Angel is holding this shirt and just sniffs it, gives it a good and that's the look on your face is how all of us felt.
I don't get it. I don't know what this is supposed to convey. Is he happy? Is he sad? Did it affect his life? Because it apparently didn't, because he just made all the same mistakes again that he made with Kit in the last year. So I don't get it at all.
He's looking for love in all the wrong places, Duncan. and so the capper on the episode is Bill Moseley wandering back inside this coffee shop, which is now empty. And he swipes another sandwich, and when that goes well, he's like, "Well, how about I get myself some cake, Leatherface?" And he
picks a piece of his grubby fucking shit-ridden fingers, just takes a little nib off the top of that, has a little taste of that. That's not doing it for him. You know what would do it for him, Bo? Cup of Java Joe.
Yep. So he pours himself some coffee and then immediately spits it out. Because
wouldn't you know it, There's a fish in the percolator, Bo.
I found a fish in the yeah. Damn it, Pete. But it is not, in fact, a fish in the percolator. It's a bunch of blood in the coffee urn.
Yeah.
And he spits it out, and end of episode. That's it. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. This episode ends with Bill Moseley screaming and me screaming in unison with him because I've had to sit through this episode.
Dude, it is shocking. This episode is shockingly stupid.
I don't even know if this is like, I get the feeling once again that we are witnessing what we think is a level of shit above the water, and this is like a giant iceberg of shit below.
It's
like,
a shit.
We're going to get to shitanic. It actually breaks my brain as to how bad this is, because once again, like yourself, I finish these things and I'm instantly like, what did the internet say? And then I click on into the internet and people are like, this is a great show. And I don't understand, even if you have zero interest in anything to do with cinema, films, TV shows, or whatever, how you could watch this and think this is anything other than trash.
Yeah. It's a fine question. I don't know the answer to it, Duncan. This is all. I'm the same way, where people were like, oh, no. The slasher gets better as you go. I'm like, I mean, I guess if the aim of the show is complete confusion, and discombobulation, then yes, this is the finest example of slasher nonsense that we've seen so far. It's and I've heard that the fourth season really bonkers as well. So, we'll see when we get there. But holy crap, Duncan, what a pile. I mean, I feel like our predictions are pretty much still the same.
Well, I've not seen enough to dissuade me from my idea of multiple killers, but in this one, we only really see the druid at the death scene. So he's only in this episode once.
Right. And we don't see the teacher that I think is the killer at all.
Yeah.
And so, but which makes sense because, the druid's roaming around. And so she's not given a test and whatnot. But I think that my belief that the killer is still the teacher. I'm okay with multiple killers here, but I think she's
definitely one of them. Yeah, I think she's definitely, at a minimum, she's one of the killers, I think. But there's nothing, like you say, this is a full episode of confusion. It sets up a lot of backstory to a character that doesn't die. Which is a first for slasher. It's always that way. We get all the flashbacks with one character. That character's going to die because that's the payoff. Look how horrible they are as a character. All the bad things that they did. Now they die. You're happy that they're dead. On to the next episode. So we don't really get that. Like Noah's character, as obnoxious as he is, it feels like he's departed the show far too early. With no real reason, like at all.
I'm sure we'll get some flashbacks to explain that in another episode, Duncan.
Yeah, but by then it's too late. Like
right, by then I don't care.
Then, like it has to be in this episode of what we're doing. And with that, we don't do a lot with much of any of our characters, really. Like the ones that we're spending a lot of time with in the first episode are all kind of by the wayside. Whether it's the kids at school, I genuinely thought we would get a reveal of that body. So as far as we're concerned at the moment, the druid has killed, as far as police are aware, by the end of this episode, the druid is struck once, when in fact the druid is struck 3 times.
Thrice.
So, yes, three times, and one body's hidden, and we don't know when that'll be discovered. So
once, twice, 3 times a druid. Duncan, where can people find you between now and 2 weeks from now, when next we speak about slasher and what it's doing to our lives?
You can check me out on Podcasts Under the Stairs. We're currently doing a number of different things this month. The main thing we're doing is Bazoween, where the Baz is joining me every Monday to do one of those Final Destination movies, pairing it up with a heavy hitter of cinema. As we are talking just now, when this episode drops as a podcast form. The third and potentially fourth episode should be out. The third episode is I'm looking at Goodnight Mummy and Final Destination 3. The fourth is A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night and Final Destination 4. I will say that we've not recorded the fourth episode yet, but the third one, his review of Goodnight Mummy and Final Destination 3, is rib-splittingly funny. I mean, he's been on fine form this year. So there's a bit of that. I'm doing my 31 of Halloween, and this year I can announce that my actual Halloween episode on the 31st will be a Russian Roulette franchise retrospective on the entirety of the Halloween franchise on one episode.
Wow.
So it's going to be long. I've got 6 of those reviews already done. The final 2 movie reviews will be done by the Baz. So
fantastic.
It's a long episode, but I've forgotten how bad some of those movies are, dude. Honestly, inexplicably bad.
Yeah.
Just slasher level of bad.
Yeah, Halloween is a great movie. The Halloween franchise is kind of trash.
Yeah, it's really, really, really bad. Like, I returned to that part 6 and I was just like, it's like no one cares. No one cares.
It's almost like they cared more about putting out a Halloween movie than making a good Halloween movie.
Yeah, it's like if someone that then explained to me it was a vehicle to launder money, that would make sense. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like that. At that point, that would make sense. So we're doing that. You can check out all that stuff on tputscast.com, and that's the best way to do it. Podcast on the Stairs is on all your podcatchers if you're searching for it.
Excellent. And for my end of things, I have finally wised up, Duncan. And I now have.
You haven't.
Yeah, thank you.
You haven't wised up because you've started 25 new podcasts since I last spoke to you.
No.
So,
it's not starting 25 new podcasts. It's just doing all the shit that I've been doing under one umbrella, and which is called the Dark Parade. The Dark Parade is you can find that also on all the podcatchers. It's basically all the stuff that I have been doing, but in one handy location, as well as some other bonus stuff that I've been doing, and like bringing back the Morbid Monday stuff that I enjoy and stuff like that. So, it's stuff that I have done, stuff that I've been doing, and a few things that I've never done before, but now I have a place to just kind of do it, of my own volition. And also, while you're listening to this, I would recommend, of course, go to legionpodcast.com, which is where all that stuff is hosted. And also, I'm dropping a little mini review every ding dong day in October, the 31 days of Halloween. I don't tell you what it is ahead of time, but every day there's a new movie recommendation and or review. In some cases, it's a new movie where I'm like, maybe you don't want to watch this, but I'll be honest with you at the very least. And and that's been a lot of fun. A couple of listener recommendations, a couple of movies I'd never seen before that I'm, like classics of horror that I was just like, I just somehow missed this, and so let's talk about it. And a healthy dose of just stuff that I wanted to watch because they make me happy. So you can check all that stuff out on legionpodcast.com, along with a million other things. Like Gary's doing 31 Days of Howling Bees, so there's another special show dropping every single day. He was explaining
that. Yeah, he was explaining the concept behind that, and I was like, only you, Gary Hill, could do that.
I'll tell you, as fate would have it.
A great concept.
Yeah. As fate would have it, on this day, on my birthday, Duncan, Winter Beast was the episode that dropped, and I had no influence over any of that.
Dude, like, it's weird that one, that's now out in high def, and two, like, our buddy Derek posted today that he just watched it and how he'd never heard it before, and I was like, that you clearly have not spent enough time listening to the back catalogue of DBC. We built a chapel on the hallowed ground of Winter Beast and sing its praises to this day.
Yeah. Oh, what a great movie. I've got that collection, that high def collection that it's in, and it's
of course you do.
It never has nonsense looked so pretty. So anyway, that's it for this time. We'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about Slasher Season 3, Episode 3 of 10. Bum bum bum.
You did it here.
And until then, the only thing left to do is to say to my good friend Duncan, say goodnight, Duncan.
My good friend Duncan, say goodnight, Duncan.
Wrong. Wrong.
Is it though? My